Good morning again. Many thanks for sticking around to Smart Means Business this hour as we're heading into our business insight. Huge conversations that we have this morning. And of course, we shall definitely be trying to bring it in regards to making sure that you as a Ugandan get to understand more further in regards to taxation in the country. Good morning, good people. And of course, as we're heading into our discussion, remember to grow your investments with the Zabo platform. Zabo, which is powered by Altex East Africa, reminds you to do something new. Now, what something new can you choose to do today is by investing in government bonds and other, of course, and others, government securities or other financial securities available, the treasury bills and whatsoever. With a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, for example, you can easily grow your investments and be part of the ever-evolving world of investment in the country. Zabo markets open at 8:15 a.m., closing time at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. You should as well note that these markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabo, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. Well in. And besides that, we now have our focus stand to our conversations this morning in the Business Insight. And of course, we are navigating tax returns. We are trying to see, understand the process and of course, maximizing the benefits within all. When you come to think of it, all taxpayers are obliged and of course are obligated to file a return within 6 months of the end of the year of income or the financial year. And of course, we are now officially into a new financial year. 1st of July was Saturday. So that means into the financial year, we are 4 days already into it. That is 2023-2024. Where an individual is in a business, one is expected to file a return accompanied by a statement of income and expenditure and a statement of assets plus liabilities. So if you come to think of tax returns, this is where our topic of discussion is, because you have to file a return within 6 months of the end of the financial year. And of course, the financial year 2022-2023 already came to an end. Now, my conversations here will not be mine alone because I have two guests. I do have Julius Okrut from G. Roberts Consultant. Good morning and many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Leonard. I'm happy to be here to share with you a very important discussion that we'll be having or that we always have with our business community.
Okay. And of course, not only that, I'm also joined by Fiona Kayondo, who is from the Grand Thornton Consultants. Good morning, ma'am. Many thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here to talk about the tax world.
Okay.
Because there are many people out there who don't have problems or issues and challenges about returns.
All right. Well, indeed, as we speak consultancy, today we're not focusing on the revenue collection rather, and of course one may ask why we do not have a taxman in here or someone representing the taxman. But now today we are having consultants who are definitely into the law perspective or who are into the commercial part of the law in order to at least understand or break this down for you in regards to Uganda's taxation situation in the country and pretty much understanding or bringing you into context when it comes to filing returns. Of course, now I'll start with Julius here. When you look at this kind of situations in regards to taxation and when it comes to looking at filing a return, what should Ugandans really need to know about the filing of a return, especially the business community?
Thank you, Leonard. Maybe we start, Joram.
Yes.
We will start with perhaps appreciating what the return is. Recently, we've just had our budget, national budget, that was read, that Parliament passed. And in that budget, we are, as a country, targeting to collect 52.7 trillion. Of that 52.7 trillion, 29 plus is supposed to be from domestic revenue.
Yes.
And in particular, 27.6 of that should be collected from tax revenue. So that should be where we are coming from before we even get to filing a return. Okay. Now, the other bit to understand is that filing a return is a mechanism that is used for communicating to the tax administrator, that's the Uganda Revenue Authority, by the different tax persons, whether individuals or companies or organizations, in terms of what has transpired at certain intervals. So it's very important that the business community, ourselves, who are also in the value chain as tax advisors, are able to share and have a closer understanding of what is involved in filing returns, what our clients or the tax-paying community should know. We know that Uganda Revenue Authority is the main body, the tax administrator for the country, but we interact with the business community, just like Fiona has indicated. Okay. Quite often we interact with the business community, so we are able to bring on board as part of partners or stakeholders what the business community faces. You asked about why it's important for us to handle the topic of tax filing. I will mention a few of the issues. One is that from what I've just highlighted as a national concern in terms of raising revenue, the first important reason why tax filing is important is that it is what would use as a basis to determine how much revenue can be collected by the government. So that's really the primary reason if we looked at it from a national perspective.
Okay. Madam Fiona, when you come to think of it, what is the importance of filing these returns here? Because the business community really needs to, I love the breakdown by Mr. Okurut in regards to the fact that we need to contribute to the tax collection as a country, or we need to contribute to Uganda's economy by making sure that we pay our shares of taxes. So what other importance is in filing these tax returns, and especially on time?
Thank you so much, Jerome. Like Mr. Julius has said,
yes,
we have there are a number of importances as to why businessmen or individuals need to file these returns. One, it is a legal requirement by the government that all business entities must or show their business, how their business moves. Also, it is also good for compliance. It is good for compliance in a way that we are able to track how your business is moving, and also it's also good for URA to know how the taxes are being collected from the different business people or the different investments that are in town. It's also good because it will enable you to keep records, documentation, accounts, because most businesses, if you go around,
yes,
someone will tell you, I don't have any record for my business, which is so dangerous, because someone will not know the financial stand of the business. So that is why we as tax consultants, we are there to advise people on how to document their businesses, on how to put down records, on how to track the financial stand of the businesses. So that is why you see when the financial year begins, for instance, now it has already started, we have closed the last one and now we are beginning another one. Okay. And the financial year that we have closed, of course we need to file returns. Therefore, we advise them to be compliant, because filing a return is a legal requirement which everyone should fulfill, so as not to be caught up by the law. Okay. Yes.
Let's look at the steps involved in filing these returns. Last week, Uganda Revenue Authority, before the end of the financial year, had actually sent out a warning for the Ugandans to make sure that they filed their returns in time before they actually get penalized. Mr. Kurup, when you look at the procedures, what steps are involved? The business community, most of the people do know, by the way. I don't want to say they don't. But for those who are now actively new in the business, if you are to look at it from the consultancy view, what should they know? What steps are involved during this?
Okay, of course the first step is that before we are now in an e-tax regime as a country. So the first step is for any taxpayer, whether it's an individual or a company. In most cases we are looking at really individuals, because companies are kind of bound through our regulatory system from URSB and so forth. So the first step is creating of an account, or having an account, which basically means a tax identification number.
Yes.
Because you are not going, now that we're on an e-tax system, you're not going to make a return without making use of the electronic tax system that we've got. Yes. As in Uganda Revenue Authority. So once one is a registered taxpayer, that means that has a tax identification number, which is definitely managed through an account that you log in. And once you have that, then that means that you're able, it's a bit simple now, that the system is interactive. The e-tax system or the portal of URA is interactive. The first thing you need to do, have your tax identification number, be able to log on there. Log on means just like you go into your email, you put in the tax identification number and the password. And then the layout of the portal or the e-tax system is interactive in the sense that if you're going to file a particular return, it could be a provisional return, it could be pay as you earn, it could be final return and so forth. We'll maybe get to that depending on how the conversation goes. You'll start from there. You start from that point to put in your TIN, password, log in, go to e-services, pick the respective. I may not explain chronological each step, but the beauty about the tax filing now is that the system is interactive, very interactive. You can follow actually step by step, that you're able to go until you download. Once you've logged in, identify the particular tax type that you want to file, download what we call a template, which is the form. Yes. That's the form you're going to fill in the details, the name of your business, your TIN, the period you're filing for, if it is pay as you earn, the salaries. So there are schedules there that you fill in, and you have a chance to check if there are errors. Of course, there are IT aspects that help you, like enabling macros and so forth. That is basically meant to make sure that the system compatibly accepts or receives that electronic communication. So you're then able to validate that information. If there are errors, still there are avenues for you to make modifications, edits, and then generate what we call an uploadable file.
Okay, let me get to Madam Fiona here. How can individuals or business people at least optimize or try to at least optimize their tax returns in order to minimize some of these liabilities that are attached to the businesses?
Okay. In that line, for a business person or an individual, when you're filing your return, because that the tax system in Uganda is a self-assessment. You assess yourself according to what you have, according to your records that you've taken. That is your income and your expenses. Yes. Then 30% is what you give the government. Okay. Therefore, someone to avoid such assessments, penalties, you have to be compliant. That is filing on time, because immediately you file out of time, there is a penalty that goes out to you. Yes. If you don't file at all, of course URA is going to assess you, give you an assessment, because for them they will think for you, since you have failed to assess yourself, then URA will come in and assess you themselves. Okay. So what businesses should do is file your returns in time to avoid a penalty. Then also, if the business initial stage of the business, for instance, like Mr. Julius has said, they have just gotten their TIN number, URA gives you a space, because the beginning of most people get TIN numbers and they don't file like they don't have business, because it is a requirement, has been asked for, maybe to get a bank account. So you find that some people have not even started business,
yes,
but they have a TIN number. And some of them just keep it and sit aside and relax, which is not the point. You have at least to put a new return to show the taxman that yes, I have this TIN number, but I haven't started business, so I'm able to file a new return. Therefore, the taxman will not assess you to give you that assessment. And normally it is a big amount of money, depending, because for them, they will think you have just deliberately refused to file your return. Therefore, they will think for you. Or if you do it out of time, therefore they'll give you a penalty.
Okay.
So my advice to all business people is that if you have a TIN number, don't sit out there and think it is all done. It is not done. Try to consult and ask, what am I going to do after getting this TIN number?
I know.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Okurut, what are the common mistakes to avoid during filing these returns, by the way? What do you think these common mistakes are? Of course, Ms. Fiona Kayondo, you'll as well add on to that particular point. But I'll start from Mr. Okurut here. What are some of those mistakes?
Thank you, Paul.
What are really common?
I think the common one is that most of our taxpayers,
yes,
or the business community, reach a date when they are supposed to file returns when they actually don't have records.
Okay.
The records are either incomplete, they are, in other words, they have a poor record keeping culture, and yet filing a return basically is a communication through what we call supporting documents to Uganda Revenue Authority or to whichever entity that requires a return. So the aspect of poor record keeping creates issues to do with how they file their returns. The other one is that some of them, of course, sometimes because of lack of knowledge about the way they should classify the transactions that take place, whether it's incomes or expenses, because it's this classification that eventually is used as a basis to determine what tax you should pay, whether you should have actually been this should have been allowed for what we call tax purposes. Some of them, the other mistakes is rush hour. You need to plan your tax obligations early enough. In fact, the impression the business people have got, or our business community have got, is that every time you are required to file a return, they assume that it means you must file pay a tax. But returns are a method of communicating to Uganda Revenue Authority, and sometimes you are in losses. Sometimes you're just supposed to comply and find that all you needed is to do it on time, and that is it. You perhaps made losses and you're not supposed to pay tax. But because you've not prepared, you're in a rush hour, you make mistakes in filling those returns.
Yes.
You fail to put up what would be credible for that case. That the taxman can look at and determine how your business or how you as an individual have fared in terms of your performance.
Okay. Madam Fiona, which common mistakes should people avoid, and are people really falling prey to during filing these returns?
One thing that is so common is people like filing new returns and yet they are already in business.
Okay.
Which is very dangerous. If the taxman finds out that you're already in operation and you have been filing a new return, that is dangerous to your business. That is when URA will come in and will want to do an audit on your business, and of which you will find you don't have the records to support your business. So to me, I think people should avoid this issue of file for me a new return. It doesn't work. Okay, the new return would work, but it only works for that person who has just started the business and has not been in operation. But for someone who has been in business like for 5 years and above, I don't advise them to file a new return. That is a big mistake most people do. Try to keep your records. People should employ accountants. If you cannot employ an accountant, at least try to put down your records, Get source documents, get receipts, get vouchers that will help you to record, such that at the end of the financial year, if you're like getting someone to do it for you, let it be easier for them to collect the information, to get right financial statements for your business, which will show the right position that your business stands.
Well, and of course our conversations will return to look at some of the challenges that business people or individuals face while filing these returns. And of course we need to ask from the consultancy view or perspective, which questions are mostly asked by individuals or business people in relation to filing the taxes in the country. And also they will as well give us some few recommendations in regards to what they think should be done by the Uganda Revenue Authority in order to meet this set target of 29 trillion come this very financial year. Stick around, this is Smart Means Business. Good morning. Smart 24, driving business.
And in talking news, MTN has improved on their data voice bundles. You can now call across all networks for the same price. We've talked to several eyewitnesses on the ground, and this is what one of them had to say.
Amos, did you hear about the MTN daily voice bundles?
So, to join many more other Ugandans enjoying these MTN daily voice bundles, dial *100 *21 hash or use the My MTN app to start enjoying. Stay tuned for more offers from MTN.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution, or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone, or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312 206 400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
We are the DPF. We protect your money. Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292 hash. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest. Smart 24, driving business. We'll be back from the break. You're still watching Smart Means Business here this morning. It is time for the Business Insight. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko in here to make sure that these conversations get out of hand. But well, of course, as we continue to give you these discussions, remember that you as a viewer can as well be part of the ever-changing world of investment. Use the Zabo platform to kickstart off your investment journey today by investing in government bonds and other securities. Star 292 hash is the USSD code that you definitely need to use to kickstart off your investment journey with Zabo. Zabo is a platform that is open to quite everybody out there. With just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shilling and registration with your national identification number, you'll be able to invest in government bonds and other securities. Zabo has markets that open from 8:15 o'clock to 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. That is Monday to Friday. The markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. You should as well note that these markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. So that means the other time for you to quickly kickstart off your investment journey is by looking deeper in investing in Zabo. Well, we are navigating tax returns in Uganda as our topic of discussion this morning. We're trying to understand the process and maximizing the benefits. Of course, I'm still with Julius Okorut, who is coming in from Jim Roberts Consultants, as well as Miss Fiona Kayondo, as we dig deeper in understanding the tax returns here in the country. I'll get back to Miss Fiona Kayondo here. When you come to think of it, what are some of these particular questions or concerns that the taxpayers or individuals generally, business people normally want to understand in regards to the tax returns or filing these tax returns?
Basically, business people normally ask questions like, if I'm to pay this tax,
Yes.
how am I benefiting from the taxes? Yes, it is a very common question that is asked by all taxpayers, especially those who are new in the business. Of course, those who are already in the system, they know why they are paying the tax and how they are benefiting, but it is also common, especially to the local ones who are like starting the business, and maybe you're advising them, someone comes to you with a TIN number and they don't know what to do, and you're trying to advise them on how they are going to use the TIN number and how much tax they are supposed to pay. Then, like, if you try to show them, like you try to go through their books and you show that depending on what you have and your business is, you're going to pay this much tax because of A, B, C. The person will tell you, why do I pay that much tax and then yet I don't benefit from it?
Yes.
Normally for me, what I tell them is that it is an obligation and it is by law that you're supposed to pay this tax for the benefit of your country. You are a citizen. If you are a citizen of the country, what have you contributed to the development of the country? By paying a tax, you're benefiting, like the development is there. You have the roads, the hospitals are there for you to have the service. So that tax that you think that you're not benefiting, it is the one that helps you to move, to have the infrastructure that is existing at this moment. So it is a very common question to those people in business, how they are benefiting from the tax.
Okay.
Yes.
What are some of those most frequently asked questions in regards to file returns, Mr. Okorot, by the taxpayers?
Thank you. Just to add on what Fiona has just said, some of the taxpayers actually, first of all, do not come to appreciation that they are eligible to file tax returns.
Yes.
Someone will tell you, I earn very little money, my business is still young, so I don't know whether I should file taxes. So that means that the question is really whether one understands as to whether his business or him as an individual taxpayer is eligible to pay or to file taxes. The other one is how do I file the taxes? And the other question is how do I claim for benefits? I hear you saying can it be refunded because I've overspent and so forth, but how do I claim for those benefits or for deductions or something like that? So those are common questions that we get from the business community.
Right from there, let's now look at some of the challenges that the taxpayers face during the process of filing these returns. What are those shortcomings that come in through?
Okay, the first one is we are now an e-tax system. Yes. So the level of appreciation of IT and the use of the portal, the online filing avenue is still a challenge for most taxpayers, and more so for the small taxpayers. We know that Uganda Revenue Authority has put in several words that maybe we'll discuss, but appreciating that is an issue. The other one is actually understanding our tax system. So if someone is going to file a return and does not yet fully appreciate that I'm dealing with pay as you earn, or I'm dealing with withholding tax, or I'm dealing with a provisional return, that alone, the appreciation of our tax system, of course some of them take it that the tax system is still complex. In varying levels, our tax, understanding our taxation, our tax laws is still a challenge, and a lot needs to be done, and that's why the question of how to file will arise in terms of accessing the online system. Okay. We also know that we still have a long way to go with the digitalization of how we operate, and yet the Uganda Revenue Authority, yes, right now is really running most of the things on automated way. Okay,
speaking of automation, Ms. Fiona, when you look at things of enhancing public awareness, what do you think the government and the Uganda Revenue Authority should do to enhance this public awareness about filing tax returns in the country?
To me, I think Uganda Revenue Authority should try to put into consideration the last man on the ground. Okay. That is, there are people who are like, the system is a problem to them because of the language. Yes. First of all, the language in which the system is. Someone will tell you, for me, I don't understand whatever you're telling me because I don't know English, I don't know what I can do about it. So, to me, I was thinking if they can try to simplify in different languages that people may understand when filing the return on the system. Then also, you find the problem, they have a problem of record keeping. Let Uganda Revenue Authority try to put into that aspect of creating awareness on record keeping to the business people, because most business people, their problem mostly is record keeping, where they find a problem that they don't have even any record that shows that they have made this amount of money, this is the expense that they have gone through, so they are unable to determine the stand of their business. So that aspect of sensitizing people on how to keep records is also very important. Then on the return filing, I think Uganda Revenue Authority should also go down and dig deeper to see how can they help people to learn how to file. Some people know they can use the computer, they can do the Excel sheet, but it doesn't know how to do the filing because they lack that experience, they lack that skill of that electronic skill of the Excel, that on how the template moves and how they are supposed to fill it in.
Okay, Mr. Okrut, speaking of enhancing public awareness in regards to filing these returns, what do you think the Uganda Revenue Authority should do for the taxpayers to at least see that we don't have these issues of we have penalties given out to these taxpayers, because it even becomes more hard for them to comply to paying taxes, more so when they are scared of these penalties?
Yes. Uganda Revenue Authority, of course, has put in a number of efforts as part of the public. We're able to observe that there are initiatives several of them. Our urge out is that it should continue and try to reach as far as possible. Things to do with the tax clinic, webinars, tax clinics are available. There are webinars that are now organized. We of recent, of course, have where taxpayers have what we call the relationship managers. So you have the help desk available at Uganda Revenue Authority. But the truth be told that some of the taxpayers, even just mentioning that you should go to Uganda Revenue Authority and get assisted and so forth, because of their low level of awareness and the fact that they are also not aware that as taxpayers, they have a right to get appropriate information from Uganda Revenue Authority. So some of them keep away. So our urge is that Uganda Revenue Authority, together with us, of course, the tax consultants or tax advisors out there, are engaging with the business community every day, should increase on their effort in making sure that this information concerning our obligations to pay tax, record keeping for the taxpayers or the businesses and so forth becomes more or less everyday kind of information, so that the public does not have phobia, does not have that fear that now when I go to Uganda Revenue Authority, I'm asking about this, so they're going to tell me, no, you must pay this tax and so forth. So the level of awareness must be increased. The different initiatives that they are using should be intensified. The clinics, the public awareness, the support that's available online, the webinars, and also there are teams that go around in the business community, and some of the social interventions. Corporate social responsibility actually encourages the public. They kind of appreciate indirectly that if URA can handle issues of donations, issues of health and so forth from the corporate social responsibility, then that means that it's connecting with the community.
Okay. Now, as we are summing up with our conversations, let's look at mobilizing taxes in the country. We do have a target to hit for this financial year, and the bigger question still remains, how are we going to be able to mobilize and how are we going to be hitting these targets? And recommendations, I'll start with Ms. Fiona Kayondo. Recommendations in regards to Uganda Revenue Authority in order to at least see that we meet our tax targets or even exceed the targets that we set of 29 trillion Ugandan shillings.
To me, I think Uganda Revenue Authority should, instead they should widen the tax base. Widen it how they should try to trace avenues into business on how to collect the taxes. Okay. And also insist or handle more on that issue of sensitization of the public so that they are aware of why and how can they pay the tax so that the country can be able to collect enough taxes. To me, I think it is good because many people out there don't know why they are paying the tax, and there are very many businesses down there that are hiding not to pay the taxes because they think they are not eligible, like Mr. Julius said. So to me, I think they should widen, like they should spread more into the business world, like sensitize people more on how they are paying the tax, and also clean their name, because most people think if you talk about Uganda Revenue Authority, they think hell has come to earth. That is the problem with it. So they should try to create that rapport with the business people. Okay. Come down to them and show them that much as we collect the tax, we are not lions. We are not there to eat you. We are not there to push you out of the business. Rather, we are there to make you sustain your business. Okay. To me, I think that will enable Uganda Revenue Authority to attract more businesses to come and pay tax or engage themselves in paying tax rather than running away from the tax.
Okay. Let's talk revenue mobilization, Mr. Okurut. What needs to be done?
Yes, we, as a country or an economy, we are just, of course, coming or emerging from the COVID-19. I'll tell you that from our interaction with the business community, many are struggling. Now, you've asked what we could do first of all, it's to encourage the taxpayers or the business community to continue in the production or in the engagements they are into. I'll tell you that some of them now, because of the tax liabilities that accumulated during that period, despite government providing waivers on interest and so forth, some are struggling and are closing, businesses are closing. But we believe that the mechanism that works for the country to continue generating revenue is actually making sure that there is a capacity for the businesses to continue in production, to continue in service delivery. Because once they generate revenue, then as a tax administration or as a government, then they are able to tax this the business community. Right now what is happening that those who have accumulated tax liabilities but feel that the business is not able to raise that revenue have either decided to close the business. So you get worried that if the cow that needs to be milked is no more, what happens? How do we continue in production? So our message is that the revenue mobilization, as Fiona has highlighted, we widen the tax base, but also encourage those who are already in business where possible, other than using the punitive action or maybe sanctions, where possible, give them avenues or ways they can actually continue paying tax, but at the same time continue production, because either production or service delivery, because that is really what will be a sustainable way to raise revenue from a tax perspective.
Okay. And of course, now as we're winding up, we've been looking deeply into understanding the FAR returns. I will definitely give my guest a minute or two to give their final takes on our topic of discussion as their final assessment of what we've been having this morning. I'll kick off with Ms. Fiona Kayondo. What are your final parting shots here?
Thank you so much. To me, to the business world out there, I would advise them not to see filing returns as, let me say, as hell. Let me say as something that has to keep you out of business, because even Uganda Revenue Authority wishes you to stay in business.
Yes.
But since it is a self-assessment, try to do the self-assessment, because if you self-assess yourself, the taxman will not bother you. The taxman will look at what you have self-assessed and will know that this is what they have managed to file, so they will go on with you. And also, keeping records is very important. I call out the business people out there, keep records, because whenever you keep records, you always avoid the taxman reaching you, because since most people fear the taxman reaching them, then do the right thing at the right time to be safe.
Okay. And Mr. Julius Okorut, your final remarks?
Thank you. We've been talking about filing tax returns.
Yes.
The message to the tax community is that the more you get to appreciate what is involved by either interesting yourself in understanding our tax laws, interesting yourself in understanding the bigger issues that the government or the country is looking at in terms of raising revenue, and also maybe reaching out to service providers, advisors like us, then the aspect of tax filing and generally your compliance will be improved. You should try as much as possible, like Fiona has said, to interest yourself, learn what is required of you, keep the necessary records, because sometimes, as I've told you, sometimes really you do not have a tax to pay. You don't have a tax to pay Uganda Revenue Authority because the business has not made that profit. They do not tax you just because you've made sales. You are taxed based on the different ways we calculate and different revenues and so forth, whether you are eligible to pay tax, and if so, how much tax, which should be actually fairly. So my message to the business community or the clients is that try as much as possible to get interested in understanding what is required. Where you cannot do it yourself, reach out to professionals, reach out to Uganda Revenue Authority also, because they have a support desk for that.
Okay, and of course tax returns has been a big conversation this morning, and of course trying to understand and put it into perspective for you, a viewer, to greatly understand an individual business person. My two guests, I had Julius Ogroot from Jim Roberts Consultants, and of course Fiona Kayondo from the Grant Thompson Consultants. We were discussing tax returns in the country. Many thanks for joining us, gentlemen and lady. And of course, indeed, it has been a wonderful conversation here for all of you who have been watching the show. As we're signing out, remember to grow your investments with the Zabo platform. *292# is the USSD code that you need to use to kickstart off your investment. Quickly rush onto the Zabo platform, register with the platform. Make sure you kickstart off your investment after you're done with registering with your national identification number. You remember, it is something that you should as well understand every single day, that investment should be part of you. Markets from 8:15 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. They are only closed fully during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabo, my money, my future. Autox East Africa, do something new. Well, that's it for Smart Means Business this morning. Have yourself all the best for the day. Till tomorrow. Good morning.